एजाज साहब, सर आपकी इजाजत हो तो स्टार्ट किया जाए सर। एजाज साहब, सर आर यू ऑनलाइन? एजाज साहब, आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है सर?
जी अभी आ रही है, मैं असल में लाइन कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ, एक मिनट जरा होल्ड कीजिए।
ओके सर। या साहब हम 1 मिनट में स्टार्ट करते हैं सर।
जी शुक्र।
इधर नहीं आ रहा, ये पीछे वो है। वो मैंने असल में पहले वो था, मैंने कहा लाइन से लगा लूं, जरा क्लियर होएगा। जी ठीक है, स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। Distinguished guests, Dr. Yasar Ayaz, CPD Chairman at National Center of Artificial Intelligence, Dr. Manam Ali Shah, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Sciences, Comstek. Dear participants, Aslam Alikum. My name is Malik Qasim Mustafa, and I am Director at the Arms Control and Disarmament Center at the Institute. And on behalf of the Institute and the Center, I warmly welcome you all to today's web talk on artificial intelligence for socio-economic development in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now widely believed that artificial intelligence is one of the major driving force of the fourth industrial revolution, and it has the potential to bring socio-economic development to a country. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how digital technologies and AI-based models have addressed public health management challenges. Likewise, the artificial intelligence can play a substantive role in achieving 17th UN Sustainable Development Goals that are the building blocks of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Hence, it's right time for Pakistan to harness AI for its socio-economic development, as AI can play a major role in urban planning and monitoring smart cities, precision agriculture and food production, water resources management, and health sectors and other areas. With this premise, the ACDC, the Arms Control Disarmament Center, has organized this web talk by Dr. Ayaz, Yasar Ayaz on artificial intelligence for socio-economic development in Pakistan. Now we will formally begin our today's event. First of all, I would like to invite Ambassador Azam Chaudhry, Director General ISSI, for his welcome remarks. Ambassador Azam Chaudhry has served as a member of Foreign Service of Pakistan for 37 years, rising to the rank of Foreign Secretary of Pakistan for over 3 years. Mr. Chaudhry's last diplomatic assignment was an ambassador of Pakistan to the United States of America. He has authored 2 books and numerous research articles. His recent book, a memoir, Diplomatic Footprint, discusses the intricacies of foreign policy making in Pakistan. After his retirement from the Foreign Service, Ambassador Azam Chaudhry has been serving as the Director General of the Institute of Strategic Studies, Islamabad, since June 2018. Sir, you have the floor now, sir.
जी मेरा ख्याल है आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रही है कासिम, कम से कम मुझे नहीं आ रही है। अगर बाकियों को भी नहीं आ रही तो आई थिंक आपका नेट वीक है।
जी सर, इस आप आवाज आ रही है सर मेरी आपको सर? Sir, you can start with your welcome remarks. Sir, you can start with your welcome remarks, sir. सर आपके एंड पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, आई थिंक इधर से सर मैसेज।
All right. Can you hear me? But somehow I couldn't hear your voice. If you can hear me, then I'll. Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Connection. Perhaps I couldn't hear you guys. Very welcome to this talk, Dr. Yasar Ayaz, Chairman, National Center for Artificial Intelligence, and thank you for accepting to share your thoughts on such an important subject, which is now widely known, but I'm afraid not that well understood in terms of its applications. As I understand it, in simple terms, this entails programming the machines such that they perform tasks like a human mind is expected to do, such as recognizing speech and using stored memory and then responding to requests. At a personal level, if I go to ATM machine, it interacts with me as if a bank teller is working with me. If I book my flights and then buy my airline ticket on a computer or a machine, it appears as if travel agent is talking to me. And in a manufacturing plant, I can use robots to do things with much greater speed and efficiency. So tomorrow, if I have a self-driven car, Tesla maybe, if not me, my children maybe, this would be thanks to artificial intelligence in motion. So in short, the artificial intelligence can work or at a phenomenal speed, make our workplaces more efficient, and can do the repetitive tasks without getting tired, and also even dangerous tasks which humans would be reluctant to. So the machines would in a way replace human labor, and the human mind gets to use its time for creative and critical thinking. There could be some negative uses as well. It can increase unemployment for a society like Pakistan, where plenty of labor is available. Or will it? I don't know. Our expert will tell us. How about its military use? Will this not be weaponized to cause utmost destruction? Any safeguards on that? So here is a tool in our hand that could be used for constructive purposes or destructive intent. The choice, of course, is ours. I'm glad that we have used the occasion of today's talk to hear from Dr. Yasar Ayaz on the socio-economic. Really look forward to hearing him, and then subsequent discussion by Dr. Munamari Shah.
Thank you, Ambassador Azaz Ahmed Chaudhary. I hope I'm
So,
या साहब आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है सर? Yasar, can you hear me?
Ji, I can hear you.
Okay, sir.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry for this internet problem. I hope it will be over soon. Now we'll move towards our main highlight of this event, the talk by Dr. Yasar Ayaz. First of all, I would like to introduce Dr. Ayaz. Dr. Ayaz's CV is very impressive, but I have taken some points out of it. Dr. Ayaz is a professor of artificial intelligence and robotics at NUST. He is also Chair's Center Project Director of National Center for Artificial Intelligence, which is the Government of Pakistan's top technology initiative in AI with funding of more than ₹1 billion. He is the founder and president of IEEE Robotics and Automation Society in Pakistan, and bears the honorary title of specially appointed professor at Tokuhou University, Japan. As the founding head of the Department of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence at NUST, Professor Yasar designed and launched Pakistan's first MS and PhD programs in the field of robotics and intelligence machine learning in 2011. In recognition of his services to Pakistan in the field of robotics and AI, the President of Pakistan has conferred Dr. Yasar Ayaz with Presidential Award for Pride of Performance on August 14, 2021. Dr. Saab, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Janab. It's a pleasure to speak to you all, and thank you for inviting me here. Let me share my slides straight away. If the host could enable me to share slides.
Just a moment, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
It's still disabled. I hope you can see my slides.
We can see it, sir. Please.
Aslam Alikum again, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to speak to you all on this very important subject. And as investors have spoken at the beginning of today's session, that artificial intelligence has many uses and some potential dangers as well, just like any technology in the world. Like whenever, like even for example, motor cars we use every day to travel from one place to another, but they can also, result in accidents. Like a lot of other technologies like that, they have their own benefits as well as their harmful effects as well. AI is no different. AI has its own, you could say, positive contributions and potential dangers as well. So today we are going to be talking about the topic of artificial intelligence for the socio-economic development of Pakistan, and this basically is a topic very close to the work that we are doing at the National Center of Artificial Intelligence, because that's what we're focused in. Like I'll introduce the center briefly to you as well, and after talking a little bit about the field of artificial intelligence and its socio-economic evolution around the world and the various fields in which artificial intelligence is impacting the society. So without further ado, just a brief introduction about myself. Already I think I've been introduced by the kind host. Like I'm working at NUST since I returned from my PhD from Japan, with my PhD from Japan in 2009. And in 2011, I launched Pakistan's first programs in artificial intelligence and robotics at NUST. So they're called the Robotics and Intelligent Machine Engineering programs. So over the years, I've been making various policy contributions to the government of Pakistan as well, which include, for example, the Think Future plan, which was made for the 7 emerging technologies of Pakistan with the Prime Minister's Office and Ministry of Science and Technology. It's around a 33 billion rupees program spanning over 10 years period of time. Also, we've for the smart cities working group, which was actually formulated by the current president, I would chair as well. And the AI robotics focus group for industry, also I was appointed as the chairman of the expert focus group by the government of Pakistan. We have various other groups like that, and we've been looking at various aspects related to how emerging technologies, particularly using artificial intelligence as its backbone, can help Pakistan progress in various sectors in socio-economic development. And the way things are evolving out there in the world, it's very obvious that this is actually one of the central lines that we should definitely take for the progress of Pakistan. So other than that, I have a few publications and patents as well, and alhamdulillah, I've been given the recent award. This is a glimpse of some of my own research. These are pictures from my own projects which I've done in my lab. So you can see on the left, for example, this is a humanoid robot, you can say, playing soccer. This is actually Pakistan's first team which actually qualified to become part of the topmost league of the Robotics World Cup. So this is called RoboCup project, and this is South Asia's first team actually. So this project actually made headlines internationally as well. You can find articles published on this project and our success in India, for example, in various newspapers, in UK, in Germany, in Malaysia, in many places. So alhamdulillah, this was a big success. Almost every TV channel in Pakistan covered it, so probably you're familiar. This is about robots playing soccer with each other autonomously, like 5 robots on one side, 5 robots on the other side, and they play football without any human intervention. And this is basically designed for multi-agent cooperation. Like for example, if someday robots are working in a disaster hit environment and they have to collaborate with each other, so sharing information with each other and mapping a whole environment where the persons are who can be stuck in a disaster situation, who need to be rescued. So this kind of algorithm can be applied to something like that. I worked in prosthetics and bionics. You can see at the bottom that this is a prosthetic leg that we designed for patients. This actually has the capability to store energy and release energy while the person is walking, and this adapts to the walking speeds of the person on the fly. Similarly, we've been working on prosthetic hands, and we've developed mechanisms-based, mechanized prosthetic hands. One is, of course, prosthetic hands which are made with tendons. which you got various kinds of threads which are used inside the structure of the hand. So we've made several hands like that, and this one that you're seeing at the bottom right is made using mechanisms. So this has a better grasping capability. So also we worked on soft robotics. I've also been given the third best technical award for this paper, which on soft robotics, which was published in Sydney, Australia in 2013. Won the award in Sydney, and also for the human robot interaction thing, I got an award in the UK in 2018 for the overall best paper. On the top right, you can see the autonomous wheelchair project. This has been done in collaboration with Japanese collaborators, and Sakura Wheelchairs of Japan has worked with us. So you can see that like this has the capability to drive a wheelchair, for example, for severely disabled patients using only the control from the human brain. And also it can follow the lead of the eyeball. You can control it using your cell phone. It can follow a handler who's walking in front of the wheelchair. And this is all completely domestic research, developed 100% in Pakistan. Even the hardware, for example, the wheelchair, when we got it, it was only a joystick driven wheelchair. So we've actually played with its electronics and put up the control box that you can see behind the wheelchair, and etc. So with this, when the wheelchair is moving around, it makes a map of the environment. It can navigate within the environment by itself as well later on. So various this kind of subjects, and you can see that our focus has been towards rehab and like you could say making a human environment inclusive for a lot of the population. And at the very onset, I think this actually is something that we should grasp. That right now, for example, according to WHO statistics, I think it's like 1/6 of the world population that is actually you could say specially abled or disabled in one way or the other. But artificial intelligence and robotics technologies can actually bring all these people into the mainstream, and they can actually start working with the normal like other able humans, other normally able humans in the everyday society. And this can actually have one great impact on the social economic development as well, by enabling human beings to actually come into the field and start working. Another one of my interesting projects, which is not covered in this slide, is one we are doing for European Union actually, and this is the Horizon 2020 funded project. It was the first Horizon 2020 project funded in Pakistan, and that is about enhancing human performance in complex socio-technical systems. You see, for example, when a pilot is flying an aeroplane, like for example, a commercial carrier, we've had several accidents in Pakistan, like air crashes with Air Blue, with Boja Air, with various others, which are very well known. You all know that. So basically, with these systems, most of the time, what is said is that it's not the machine, the error in the machine that causes the accident, but maybe the human does not perform a certain task accurately. Sometimes they attribute it to lack of training, sometimes to, let's say, mental workload or tiredness, and the person was not in a position to, the pilot was not in a position to fly it right. There are several other accidents that have been reported which are of similar reasons. So the project that we're doing with European Union is focused on systems which have human in loop, like for example, in systems in which humans are driving something. So how can human performance be enhanced? So we use AI techniques to actually enhance human performance as well. So you see, AI, sometimes people think that AI will just automate everything and like reduce the human jobs, but it can even increase the employment of humans by enabling, for example, people who have a different set of abilities, who are disabled in some way, and also by actually enhancing the performance of the normal humans who work as part of a socio-technical system. Socio-technical system would mean system which has a complex technical machine, like an airplane or like a ship, for example, and a person is driving it. So how can the person's performance be improved, and how can we make sure that he or she is in the right place to actually operate that machine? The project we are doing with European Union is not focused on avionics. It's not focused on flying machines. It's focused towards marine systems, which, for example, transport goods from one part of the world to another. And it turns out that 90% of the accidents reported in marine systems are also because of the human error. So you see, this is a comment I wanted to make at the beginning of the talk. It is widely said, and Forbes had quoted very famously, that AI is the new electricity. So you see, like it is said that in the future, just like today, there is no system, hardly any system which works without electricity. So in the future that we're headed to, we won't see any systems that work without artificial intelligence. And as we go further into our talk, and I show you some of the projects that we are doing, you'll see that artificial intelligence actually is contributing to almost every area, and we are developing systems even for Pakistan to like enable judiciary, for example, to dispense justice faster, for law enforcement, for example, to make cities safer, for the Safe Cities project. And there have been actual with some of the systems that we've developed. I've been told by some of my labs that the systems that we gave to the Safe City project have resulted in apprehending actual suspected persons in crowded places like cricket matches, etc. And this is a big contribution. For as many as 12 suspected militants or the terrorists have been caught using the systems that we have developed, right? So this is, I think it's an immense contribution for Pakistan. It really makes me happy to actually be able to contribute to the society of Pakistan. So this is like two sayings from CEO of Google and Microsoft Corporation that how AI is expected to become a big time reality. And you see, if you look at the big companies around the world right now, for example, Facebook, for example, Google, so all these companies are actually AI based companies. To set everything straight, people understand that AI probably has machine learning only, but other than that, AI, traditional AI, the first AI thing that you study when you study a course of AI is AI by search. So search engines are actually the start of artificial intelligence. Similarly, Facebook was oriented towards making a book of faces, like putting pictures, tagging faces, and this technology itself also, like tagging faces, recognizing them, linking them together. So this is text and data mining, and it is also artificial intelligence. And mainly like the services that these technologies or these companies provide is surrounding the data analytics, that what sort of people's interests are there, how they are evolving, etc. So this is actually core artificial intelligence, very central artificial intelligence. And you can see how it has impacted the socio-economic development of the developed countries even. And similarly for Pakistan, it has a huge potential if we can actually yield something from that. If we look at, for example, Tractica USA predictions regarding how artificial intelligence is expected to evolve and grow in the coming years, we see that the graph is almost exponential. It's not a linear graph. It's like rising up exponentially. So the potential of artificial intelligence, the socio-economic potential, is actually very huge. So both the social as well as economic potential, by including new people into the mainstream, by bringing enabling women to work in the mainstream, like preventing gender discrimination, making our societies and our offices more safe for everybody to work in, and similarly for disabled people also to bring them into mainstream, and also this economic growth that we are saying. So both social and economic growth aspects are there. Just some brief predictions, for example, so Gartner has predicted that this very year in 2022, the AI business value created will reach 3.9 trillion in this year, in 2022. So this is new business value created by artificial intelligence. And remember that in advanced countries already AI is doing a lot of work. For example, I was reading somewhere that in the US stock market, for example, 92% of the stock trading is actually done by bots. It's not done by humans anymore. So it's done 8% by humans, because bots are like, they do it in a more matter of fact way, and they are more quick to make decisions. So this is why for companies it's more useful. It doesn't mean that humans will not be there. The people developing the bots are also humans, right? So it's just that the nature of jobs is changing. Jobs are not going out because of that. The nature of jobs is changing. But you can see that the impact in business value is around 3.9 trillion in 2022, which is very important for, I think, everybody to see, and developing countries to also focus on. The International Data Corporation predicts that the worldwide spending on cognitive and artificial intelligence systems will reach $77.6 billion in the year 2022. So this is just the predictions for this year, for 2022. And this is like taken from the article Future AI Market Trend from the Forbes website. If we look at different countries and we see how much every country is putting into artificial intelligence, we see that almost everybody is there. Almost everybody is investing into artificial intelligence. For example, China, the State Council of People's Republic of China has declared that they are investing $150 into artificial intelligence. The US government, the US banking sector alone has already committed $300 billion for artificial intelligence. This is very important. We worked on some banking oriented projects, and we've seen the economic trends around bank crisis and how it impacted the major economies in the world. And let me tell you that in the data set that we had, actually, it was like the number of banks ending up in bank failure was more than 30. I think it was 34%. We were able, using our algorithms, to predict it with an accuracy of more than 94%, by the way, which was not like the system installed in those banks were not able to do it at that time. But in hindsight, when we were given that data using deep learning, we were able to interpret it better. So the data set we got was from a university in UK, and it was a joint project with them. So it's detailed and not public yet, but it will be published soon, inshallah. It's as soon as it appears in a paper. But like this will also be a good thing for people to refer to in the banking sector. The Canadian government has invested in the Vector Institute of Artificial Intelligence Research, and the amount is around 130 million US dollars. India has committed to invest 477 million just next door to us. So developing countries are definitely stepping in. Russia, the National Strategy for Development of AI, commits 7.3 billion to artificial intelligence. In the UK, they've also committed 1 billion. So you see, almost all the developed countries and the leading world powers right now are contributing towards artificial intelligence, and they're all realizing the socioeconomic potential of AI. And like none of this is like you could say just, for example, oriented towards destroying things in the world, but most of this is towards development of their own economies. If you look at the projects that they're doing, this is more oriented towards developing their own economies, and gladly the world is moving in that direction now. If we look at the spending by companies on AI applications, like which algorithms have more spending on artificial intelligence and which have less spending. So by the technical application, for example, so the vehicular detection and avoidance, like for example, also for surveillance and also for like you could say self-driving purposes. So vehicular detection and avoidance market is around 8.9 billion US dollars. Static image recognition market is around 7.6 billion. Processing of patient data, the medical you could say not imaging and diagnostics, that's like a full separate area. You can see that at the end with 5.1 billion. But this one is processing of medical data, you know, on HL7 and relating the data together and forming conclusions with that from test reports, etc. So this is at 7.2 billion US dollars. The algorithm trading strategy, I mentioned to you that 92% of the trade in the US stock market is being done by bots. So $6.4 billion is in the algorithm trading strategy. The localization and mapping, for example, this is the search and rescue thing, like robots which can do reconnaissance and like you could say survey, for example, for if in a flooded environment, for example, or an earthquake hit area, etc. So localization and mapping is 6 billion. Its contribution is 6 billion US dollars. Like its spending by companies on this application is around 6 billion. The predictive maintenance technologies, this is very essential. I think almost every technical company is adopting predictive maintenance in one way or the other, especially the airline industry is famous for that, but others are also adopting it. So this is stands at 5.7 billion. Cybersecurity and threat prevention is at 5.4 billion. Similarly, paperwork to digital data conversion. So this is a lot of this work is being done in Pakistan as well. So this is at 5.4 billion US dollars. Intelligent HR systems, this is at 5.3 billion. Similarly, medical image analysis, this is at 5.1 billion. So I don't know if you're able to view the top part because the bar may be interrupting that, but like this is like the increase the global spending on artificial intelligence. Okay, so if you look at the artificial intelligence and its opportunities in terms of what specializations people can pursue in order to get more jobs in AI, like what particular skill in AI, if you have, you'll get better jobs, for example. So what are firms focusing on? What sort of underlying technology? Because one are, for example, the technical application areas. The other are the core technologies which apply to these application areas. So which areas you can focus on in order to land better jobs in artificial intelligence. So in this, like data science takes the top slot and it has about 9.6% focus. Business intelligence is next, which has about 7.8%. The health plans and patient care is at 6.3. Computer vision is at 5.6. Speech recognition is at 5.3. Aerospace and defense is again at 5.3. Natural language processing is at 5.1, and entertainment industry again. So we also have some software for entertainment industry, and entertainment industry stands at 4.8. So like several such systems are around, and as the technology evolves and more like firms introduce introduce artificial intelligence in their own mainstream applications, you'll see the percentage rising within these areas, and you'll see the trends more central role to the missions. To what sort of applications we are developing for AI in Pakistan, and to give you a glimpse of the kind of work we are doing here. I've already shown you some glimpses from my own lab and what sort of things are being done in Pakistan. So the National Center of Artificial Intelligence, we have a lot less funding compared to what you've seen with other developing economies and developed economies. Like India was at $477 million US. In Pakistan, we have like $10 million US for this. But like there are several other organizations maybe also working in the area of artificial intelligence. The National Center for Artificial Intelligence, which is the core and the central component, and the, you could say, the major national center formed by the government of Pakistan. This actually has like presence in academic institutions. So this is an academia-driven thing, which like government of Pakistan advertised and evaluated the best of the best labs and researchers working in Pakistan. And I was also competing as part of the researchers, and it was through open competition across Pakistan that I was actually passed through several steps of selection, and finally was selected to lead the National Center of Artificial Intelligence as its chairman. So I lead the central secretariat and right now, and of course the labs working with me at NUST closely are the deep learning lab and the intelligent robotics lab. We also have medical imaging and diagnostics lab at Comsats University in Islamabad, the intelligent system design lab at UT Peshawar. This is mainly focused towards smart mining, for example, and smart healthcare provision. Similarly, intelligent information processing lab at UT Peshawar is focused toward disaster management and environment protection and environment, trends of environment prediction, global climate change monitoring, etc. So agent-based computational modeling lab at Punjab University Lahore focuses on smart training systems, for example, for people who are learning like to drive with other agents present in the environment. And similarly, to see how, for example, like evolving traffic conditions affect a certain traffic plan using real-time simulations. And also the intelligent criminology lab at UT Lahore. This is the lab which developed that software for surveillance, which actually helped apprehend some of the wanted persons as well in some cricket matches. I think as many as 12 suspected persons I've been informed. So the neurocomputation lab at UT Karachi is working in evolution and development of neuromorphic processors and also for systems for brain-computer interfaces. And the smart city lab, as you know, smart city is a very famous subject. So it's working on the smart city technologies and AI behind the IoT and also in the augmented and virtual reality domain. So this is the structure that we like. At the bottom you can see the labs, then in the center is the NCAI secretariat, and on top of this we have the National Steering Committee and International Scientific Industrial Advisory Board, which is like mostly located outside Pakistan. It has both ex-Pakistanis as well as foreign experts there who advise the center. I've already covered the names of the labs, so I'll skip this part. Let me proceed forward. So some of the major projects that we've done in Pakistan, which you can also relate to, what sort of socioeconomic contributions they can make. Like if you look at the judiciary, for example, I read in one place that just in the district courts of Punjab, the pending cases right now stand at about 1.9 million. So for Law and Justice Commission of Pakistan, we've been working as part of the National Judicial Automation Council, which they have, and we were also given an honorary seat in that, and we were contributing to it. And we have developed the first unit, like the first testing app, for example, with which judiciary can actually sift through their like cases, and which can actually give them an idea about like, for example, for every new case, they can search for relevant cases, because these relevant cases are a reference for the judge to decide to make the decision regarding the potential, you could say, decision that could reach in that particular case. So we've already given the basic app for this. We've developed it locally and given to Supreme Court of Pakistan. They are testing it right now, and if it turns out to be okay for them, or once we receive further requirements, we can develop a full system for them. The total joint proposal we've developed stands at about 180 million PKR. And also we've made like systems, for example, to monitor traffic, for instance, and this can also be used to actually catch, for example, certain vehicles which we want to track in the environment, like in the road, something like a stolen vehicle or something like that. And I'll show you systems in the next slides where we can actually look at the number plates and pick out the relevant information for a vehicle as well. So this is another one for smart media. So you can see that maybe I'll just brief you first. Like when the person is speaking here in Urdu, like thing is that we recognize the speaker. So speaker recognition is there. Number two, and if, for example, 3 or 4 persons are speaking, we can distinguish which person is speaking. Similarly, for like the captions as well as whatever the person is saying, these are both read in real time, like picked up in Urdu and cataloged in real time. So we have it running live on some of the channels right now, and we have the statistics. We've also floated a startup company called Medium.ai. So you can actually subscribe to it. It's commercially available. So you can subscribe to it if you want to do content analysis. So a lot of people who work in social sciences have said to me that, if this software had been made earlier, maybe their eyesight, for example, would not have gone bad, because now they're wearing eyeglasses. They had to watch so much of the media in order to manually monitor all the content. And now this software can do the content analysis for you. This is for comparative purposes, of course. So this is at the bottom, you can see the news stickers. So whatever is written here at the bottom is appearing here in the news stickers, and whatever is being said by the speaker is appearing at the top box. So this is another one. This is for reconnaissance and search and rescue, for example. So for if a single robot is searching for example, so this kind of technology, the SLAM, is used in the wheelchair that I showed you. So for navigating in the human environment and taking, for example, the patient from one place to another. For example, the patient goes to the hospital and you want to direct the patient to a certain room or certain ward or certain test lab. So you can actually, the wheelchair can actually keep following the environment and monitoring where the obstacles are while it's going around. So this is the SLAM project. And also like the multi-agent SLAM, this is for search and rescue. That, for example, several robots are, like, for example, on the left are the swarm exploration. That, for example, if UAVs are surveying an environment, for example, it's the disaster hit environment. So moving on top of that and monitoring where the people to be rescued are located and mapping them together on a map. This is another one for the basically for Urdu speech recognition. And here you can see that this is a comparison with Google. And I'm happy to share with you that at least for Urdu, we are actually faster and more accurate than the Google Translate, the Google voice typing system for Urdu. We've also given this technology to the TPL Tracker Private Limited company, and they have integrated it with TPL Maps. The purpose of this technology is to enable normal drivers who are not familiar with English, for example, so for them to be able to narrate the address to the map, for example, and then the map can speak back to them like turn right or turn left. So at least they can register the address here if they're not comfortable typing in English. So at least with Urdu interface, they can do it, and with voice, no less. Similarly, this is a system for Hajj, for example, which we worked on in collaboration with Qura University in Saudi Arabia. You can see one of the persons is walking across from the whole procession. We have some expertise in cloud analytics as well. So if, for example, this kind of system is also useful in preventing terrorist attacks, for example, that if someone, for example, is doing something odd, so in a structured environment, like, for example, in a procession in Muharram or in Rabiul Awwal or something, or in a political rally, we can pick out the suspected person and alert the authorities in real time. We also developed some variants of this for COVID-19, which I'll show you in the next slides. On the right, you can see systems developed for footfall prediction and footfall assessment. For this picture is for Giga Mall in Islamabad. So this is the system which I was talking about earlier, picking up the number plate and the car's features. And for example, if a suspected vehicle or somebody who is outstanding, for example, challans against the person is passing, for example, on a picket, so we can pick out the vehicle and apprehend them right away. This is for safety again, for surveillance, that, for example, if somebody has some suspicious item like a gun, for example, or if somebody is doing an activity which is unwarranted, we can actually track that. This is the system which we actually put in place for COVID-19. On the left, for example, you see on the right, the system you see is actually predicting when somebody is coughing, for example. So when somebody enters a mall, for instance, and he does not show temperature, but he's still coughing. So this can also be one of the signs which some of the actually commercial entities wanted us to predict. So this is why this was developed. On the left, you can see this system which actually works in real time. We can take the existing existing cameras which are actually put up in any building, and they have to be IP cameras so that the imagery is digital. And what we do is that that imagery is processed using our server, and based on that we can tell in which places within the imagery there are violations taking place, like for example people standing together at close distance, people not wearing masks. So wherever there are SOP violations, this can be pointed out with the image and on top of the map, so that the security guards know where to go and apprehend. So this can help also keep track of how many violations are actually taking place in a building, and to actually monitor and control the spread of COVID-19. So this kind of thing we actually introduced during the COVID-19 time. Similarly, we have systems, for example, which can, for example, if you're using an ATM and somebody comes in and tries to hold you or grasp you or something, this kind of system can actually predict that in real time. No banks have actually adopted this until now, but this is a good system for them to adopt to prevent robberies, for example, in ATM booths. So this is UAV localization, GPS denial circumstances. Like, for example, if an UAV is flying like on top of any environment for disaster management or whatever reason, so they can actually look at the imagery below that, and based on that they can approximately place themselves where they are on top of the environment. Similarly, this is advanced driver training assessment simulation program. The driver can actually drive using a simulation, and based on this we have some targets which the driver has to achieve. The key aspect is that we have other agents driving in the environment as well. So based on that, based on the placement of the other agents, we can create situations which can better tell us about what sort of reactions the driver will have in a certain types of situation. So this can be run with augmented virtual reality as well. So similarly, for we have like system in which we can actually generate maps based on the actual environment. We can like OpenStreetMaps, we can use it, net edit it, and actually create maps for actual training which are based upon real pathways existing in the human environment. So similarly, we've done some work on predicting the quality of rice, assessing the quality of rice using artificial intelligence. This is for exports, increasing the exports of Pakistan. This is a smart ceiling fan. Basically, you know that fans are mostly open loop systems. That, for example, if you set it at a speed and in the night you're sleeping and it suddenly gets cold, the fan will not automatically adjust its temperature. So this is actually a temperature controlled, you could say, self-adjusting smart ceiling fan. So it remembers your choice and it has innovative control as well. It senses your presence as well. So this is another system for monitoring you could say electricity consumption, the power consumption for any office or home. For example, you can monitor it for separate regions in the building, for example, or for separate rooms, for instance. And you can also have a total predicted bill. And if that affects your pocket, like it will really contribute towards saving electricity and contributing to the social economic aspect as well. And this is another software which we developed. It's called BrainViz. It's for detecting the brain tumors and also predicting the life expectancy of the patient. So it was presented in one of the competitions in China, a major competition in AI. We stood third in the world in that competition. So here's another one which we've developed for thalassemia, treatment of thalassemia. So this is Telus Queen, and the important thing about this device is that not just the AI software, the deep learning based imagery based software, but also even the 3D printed part and the construction of that whole module, the whole system is done domestically here in Pakistan. This is another one for breast cancer. So you can load a mammogram, you can remove its pectorals, and you can actually classify the images according to whether it is a cancerous tissue or malignant element. This is another one for pulmonary diagnosis. So you know that in Pakistan, the one of the biggest causes, I think 2 of the top 4 causes of severe illness and death are tuberculosis, which is at number 1, and it's number 4. It is COPD, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So this kind of system can really help in its diagnosis and to monitor the progression of the disease and to actually predict as well. In due time, once we have enough data, we'll be able to predict the advent of a disease as well. So this is just a glimpse of some of the projects we are doing, and as you can see that we hope that just like around the world, AI is contributing to various socioeconomic developments. In Pakistan, it will also contribute in the coming years. And here is my information. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or write to me directly to check from the website as well. So if you want to get in touch with me, you're most welcome to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ayaz, for giving us a very comprehensive presentation on AI and how it can help socioeconomic development in Pakistan. And you have rightly pointed out that AI is the new electricity, as there is nothing which would run on without electricity. So AI is going to be a new world. And I believe that this has a great potential, not especially in, not only for socioeconomic development, but in all fields, like you have pointed out, that it can help in disaster management, smart cities, technologies, judicial system, traffic. I mean, there are endless opportunities which are associated with this AI technology. Now with this, we'll move to next part of our today's talk, and that is the discussion by Ms. Dr. Munam Ali Shah. Dr. Munam Ali Shah has more than 17 years of teaching and research experience. He has completed his MS degree in security technologies and application from the University of Surrey, UK in 2010, and passed his PhD from University of Belfordshire in 2013. Since July 2004, he has been with the Department of Computer Sciences, Comstex, University Islamabad, and he is author of more than 230 research articles published in international conferences and journals. Now I hand over the floor to Dr. Munam Ali Shah for his remarks on today's talk. Dr. Sab, you have the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu Alikum. I hope you're all having a very wonderful morning. Thank you very much for this introduction. And I believe that this is a very timely topic that we are discussing here today. Professor Ayaz, Yasar Ayaz have mentioned very good points, and I'll just try to highlight them, and I'll just brief them from my point of view. As we all remember that about 2 decades ago, there were hardly computers being used by normal people. And I remember when I was doing my bachelor's, we used to forecast, we used to predict that time will come when even a chai wala and a roti wala will have a computer. And we have very shortly seen this time that now everyone has got computer in the form of smartphone. We are using internet, and that Internet of Things, which have connected everything with every other thing, has opened many opportunities and many ports. There is a huge amount of data being generated, and that huge and very huge amount of data needs to be processed. Consider the example of the most recent COVID-19. We have data for those patients. Similarly, considering the scenario of Pakistan, where there's a population of over 200 million, and almost 63% is the young population, we can imagine, we can just see how much potential this internet and the relevant data we have got over here. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of things that we need to consider, that we need to think over it, and that we need to come up with some decision making. If we recall when we had this this COVID, so everything was jammed, and the business was shutting down. Still, that AI helped us. Still, that machine learning and that internet helped us, and we found many good ways, many new horizons, and which opened us many new doors. For example, we all know that during this pandemic, lot of businesses, they have tremendously grown. For example, not even in Pakistan, but in other parts of the world, this online shopping has tremendously grown. This online video streaming trends have drastically changed. So there are people who are using internet, and there are people who want to make this internet further intelligent, and they want to make sure that this huge amount of data is being intelligently used. Um, I'll highlight a few future trends that we really need to think, and we really need to see that what can be the benefits for Pakistan in terms of socio-economic. So we have a lot of potential in education. We have a lot of potential in employment. Similarly, road safety is another very good area which which we really need to think. I believe that there are still lot of research, lot of exercises needs to be done in this area, as the number of vehicles on the road are growing, and the cars are becoming intelligent. So why not to use this intelligence of the vehicles to ensure road and safety? There is, as I've just mentioned, that there is a huge number of young population. So why not to, and they are mostly on the social media. So why not to see what are their trends, what type of education they would like to go for, what are their habits, what are their, for example, career goals, and according to that, government can plan, government can offer different vocational trainings, and government can introduce other relevant stuff. So I'll summarize by saying that we have data and we have technology available. In Pakistan, the only thing that is lagging is we do not have that connection of this data and this internet. We need some mechanism from government point of view, from other policymakers, so that this huge amount of data can be wisely processed, and future decisions can be made. So lot of potential in social aspects, a lot of potential in medicines and health, in road and safety. So there are yes, universities, there are research, there are different leading groups. They are already playing their very good role. Similarly, I'm leading a research group which is based on road safety using vehicular data and VANet. So so this is something that I can help in this particular area. So yes, if every one of us play his or her role in this manner, definitely we will come up with a very prosperous and bright Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manam. I believe you are not feeling well, but still you have given us time, and we really appreciate for your time. With this, ladies and gentlemen, now we'll move towards our question answer discussion session. As I've already requested, that those who want to raise some question or want to participate in the discussion, they can share their comments or their question in the chat box. So taking the liberty of being the moderator, I would like to pose the first question to Dr. Yasar Ayaz, that, artificial intelligence has a great potential, but again, there are certain limitations, there are certain issues regarding access to these technologies. What's your take on this success to technologies? Because Pakistan is a developing country, and as compared to other countries which are spending billions of dollars on AI and other technologies, although we are also spending a great amount, but still we are lagging behind. So how can we bridge that gap with respect to other countries in this region and globally?
Yeah, I remember an exercise which I was also a part of from Pakistan side, and this was done by the I think UNESCO, the United Nations Commission on Science and Technological Cooperation, and this is focused towards making an AI ethics, you could say, standard setting instrument And there are 3 stages in which it was done. So I remember in the second stage negotiation, which was done from South Korea, and a lot of people had connected from around the world, this was a fact that was discussed by many of the discussants and participants, that, for example, not all of the developing countries have equal access to facilities on which AI can be processed. I think that one part is that some of the facilities, for example, you can name Google Colabs, AWS, and several other systems, to name a few, which have actually enabled people that they don't have to buy the whole hardware. If they want to develop a certain application, they can deploy it on that server, and from there they can have reliable like a stream, the streaming of data, and you could say processing of data from there, and they could actually even develop products for the developed countries, and they would very much trust that if the code is deployed on one of their servers, it can actually be used in one of their systems and it would work fine. At the same time, so this has bridged the gap in some way, like in some manner it has bridged the gap when it comes to purely software based tasks, or purely the, you could say, data assessment and data analytics based systems. And for some of the other tasks, for example, which require more hardware, for instance, a robot to be present in a certain place, yes, it does create some difference in that points. And like, of course, I think the key element in that is that, which I also recognized in the discussions on behalf of UNESCO and on that platform where everybody was present, is that now in today's world, people realize that we are a very closely knit world, and like like each other's progress actually benefits several countries. This is why we see countries coming together to form unions like the European Union, for example. And this is something we have to realize in our region as well, that we have to promote peace and like develop technologies which are inclusive, which enable people to actually work in a mainstream. And actually, if we can use technologies for that sort, I think even the developed world sees the potential in our region. So I think that in one aspect, in terms of data analysis, in terms of the servers, and in these technologies, a really good development has taken place, that now the servers are accessible to us from here in Pakistan, and we don't have to spend again and again to upgrade them. We can actually deploy our codes on those servers and use it for our applications. It has also set the national market within our reach. And number two, the second aspect is that in aspects which require certain hardware to be present, for example, for certain medical devices to be developed, using which data will be collected and then AI will be processed, I think that the world recognizes that now we are a very closely knit world, we are a very closely knit economy, and mutual collaboration and support is actually the way forward. So inshallah, in the future, I see things improving in that line as well.
Thank you, sir. There's another question from the participants. That how can we promote AI in Pakistan, especially how can we educate and train our youth? So Dr. Ayaz, your take on this question.
Yeah, so this is a very important question, I think. And like you see the requirements of AI, the way AI is evolving, and the way it's you could say the need of the market is, like, for example, when my graduates are going out, there is so much need that I give one graduate to a company and they come back and say we need 10 more. Right, and we don't so we can't produce graduates at that faster speed as the market is ready to assimilate them. So the first thing we did is that, as a National Center of Artificial Intelligence, we devised a standardized curriculum for Pakistan, the Masters and PhD standardized curriculum. It's available from our website. Anyone from any university in Pakistan or abroad can download the whole curriculum with full detail and implement it for their own universities. We've even shared it with some universities and organizations in Africa, for example, in North Africa and Morocco. We've shared with some people, and in Pakistan this is available for several universities, and we've also participated in curriculum development with several other universities. So for our 6 universities which are part of the National Center, as well as other universities, this curriculum is available if they want to implement. At the same time, masters and PhDs still take some years for the person to graduate. Like if you enter masters, it takes you 2 years to graduate. Similarly, if you enter into a PhD, at least 3 years are required for you to finish a PhD degree according to the HEC regulations in Pakistan. So in order to you could say meet the market need, we have come up with a certification program. So like sometimes we have short-term trainings like just 5-day trainings or 2 weeks training, for example, which is focused on one particular topic, and in that topic we bring in people who already have some background in AI and we train them. The other is to train the professionals in, you could say, a lot of, you could say, core AI technology, and like converting, you know, conventional computer science professionals into proper artificial intelligence professionals. For this, we have a 4 months diploma or certification program. I think certification is the right word to use. It's called the CAIP, Certified Artificial Intelligence Professional. So this is running from our National Center of Artificial Intelligence. If people want to participate in it, we certainly welcome them to. And I think this is the answer to Pakistan's need to produce artificial intelligence professionals at a really fast rate, because then the turnaround time is not 2 years or 3 years to produce an AI professional, just like in a conventional degree. This is actually done in collaboration with the industry, and a lot of prominent companies are part of this initiative, and working together, we can actually cultivate more HR for Pakistan in the field of AI.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Manam, your response to this question?
Yes, there is huge potential. I'll just give a short example, and then we can relate things. As we know that Twitter data is available, and there are people who are trending and who are tweeting. So, for example, if I want to see which food is going to be liked for the evening tonight, for the iftar tonight, I can identify this, and if I am a food business owner, I can use this AI, and I can use this machine learning, and I can plan my business accordingly. So what I will do is that I download those tweets for the last 2 weeks, or for the last whatever the tweets are available. I'll use some machine learning intelligence, and I'll see that people, what are the people trends. I can also involve the weather. I can also involve the mood of the people. I can also involve the time of the month, whether it is the start of the month or the end of the month. So based on all these things, I'll combine, and I'll see that what type of food is going to be liked by the people, or what type of orders are being put on the buying and selling websites. So this is going to help me a lot as a business. Dr. Ayaz has already mentioned that short-term trainings, specialized courses, awareness programs, these are definitely some areas. If we focus on these areas, we can further enhance this new knowledge, this new horizon to the young population of Pakistan.
Thank you, Dr. Manam. Another question from the participants. What are the prospects for international collaboration technologies?
In some aspects they are, like for example, in some others, like the socio-economic benefit, for example, which a certain company can reap from its own use of AI prevents them from making something public. For example, Google is already benefiting from a lot of uses of artificial intelligence. Two of the big examples are their search engine, as well as their the maps, the Google Maps, for example, which you use to navigate. So that's a temporal maps based technology which you use to, like, it's a search based artificial intelligence technology. So but of course, if you ask them to make their technology public, or like not public in that line, but like maybe like share or collaborate with someone, they will do it in a limited sense, like of course to protect their own commercial interests as well, and this is very much understandable. Similarly, at the same time, I think that, as I mentioned, that the world is a global village, and in this aspect, the key as the thing that I can refer to is that data is the oil which is processed in the refinery of artificial intelligence to actually produce useful results. So this is actually something that enables collaborations as well. That, for example, people sitting in some other countries, for example, let's say in the US or China or Japan, if they want to work on comprehensive, for example, analytics for the world data, they also need the developing countries for their data, for instance. And if only there will be proper instrumented systems in our regions, there will be trustworthy data, it will produce like right outcomes for the AI analytics which are used in their countries as well, right? So this is why I say that in AI we are like more closely connected as a global community, and I think that this will definitely promote a lot of international collaborations.
Thank you, sir. Zasab, you have the floor now, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ayaz and Dr. Munam. Bada acha tha, I benefited a lot from your presentations. मेरा question ये है कि how are artificial intelligence and cyber security connected? And my second part of this question is, is the world developing any international regulatory regime to prevent the misuse of both cyber power and artificial intelligence? Thank you.
So I can answer this. I think that I mentioned that the UNESCO is already developing a document which is actually a standard setting instrument for artificial intelligence, right? And this basically, they've already developed one for robotics and this one is for artificial intelligence. Both are very closely related technologies, of course. So this talks about the ethics of artificial intelligence. You see, globally, we can't make a law which can be implemented across countries. You know this better than me. We can't make a central law, for example, which we make necessary for every country to follow. People have their own sovereignty. They would like to follow laws in their own ways. But like you say, documents which can be used to guide countries for their legislation are being developed, and this is being done by UNESCO. So it has a committee from across the you could say continents, and they put together a team for this, and they've actually conducted you could say surveys and also negotiations and consultations around the world for this. So yes, it is so. And the first part of your question was, sorry, I am probably forgetting it.
How is the cyber security linked to?
Yeah, it's very like cybersecurity is a very critical aspect when it comes to AI. For example, if somebody can play with the data, so they can certainly change a lot of outcomes of artificial intelligence. For example, I mentioned that we've developed an app for judiciary. So cybersecurity is paramount to that. For example, if the data is not secured, somebody can meddle with it, somebody can remove some of the cases, etc. It can completely change the trend of output which the machine learning algorithm will produce. So definitely cybersecurity is a compulsory requirement. But you see that a lot of systems like this big data oriented systems and blockchain, for example, have emerged, which actually have a potential to ensure cybersecurity as well. And you see, this is the way technology evolves, that as we evolve technology, the threats evolve simultaneously, and we have to develop better technology to keep our own technology in safe hands.
Thank you, sir. There are two other questions from the participants. One is about the misuse of this AI technology, and it's given an example that some laboratory accidentally generated some 4,000 new toxin molecules within few hours. So your take on this misuse of AI. And there's another question about major challenges in Pakistan's regulatory or policy framework with regard to AI, innovation and growth. Where are Pakistan's gap for promoting secure and reliable AI? So these are two last questions, and I would like Dr. Yasar to respond to these two questions.
So I think the second one's answer first, in terms of the regulatory aspect, or in terms of the complete law surrounding AI, we've done some survey on that, and we identified in the US there is one document regarding which can be attributed as a law related to artificial intelligence, but overall in the world level, and this is also, it does not cover AI comprehensively. It's more of a, you could say, a guideline which people can use to apply AI technology. It focuses on how AI should be developed, it focuses on the development of AI. I'm forgetting the exact reference, otherwise I would have given you the detail. We've actually done a survey on this, and for the other countries, so far for pure artificial intelligence, so far no law is in place as far as I know. And the ethics documents for the UNESCO will actually play a really big role. So when the standard setting instrument comes in place, that can help Pakistan, a lot of other developing countries as well as developed countries. You see, some of the concerns that I heard when it came in that discussion as well were, it included, for example, that organizations like Google and Facebook are able to collect data from our countries without the consent of anybody in the country. And this data is better processed at their servers as well, and they have better, you could say, analytics and insights from there. The data is ours, but they're able to access it and at the same time use it. Well and good, we are a globally closely connected world, but then it should also involve some responsibility on those organizations to share some of the fruits that they get from that. Like they must at least base a data center in our country or something like that. So maybe like governments could in time discuss things like that, that how can AI result in mutual progress for the entire world, right? So it's good that the technology and products are available, but if there can be a way to mutually progress, it would be very good for basically all of the world, including Pakistan. And the first question was regarding the misuse of AI. So any technology that you develop, for example, I don't very few countries are there in the world who actually don't have, for example, defense technology, but almost every defense technology that is used can also be misused, right? So we know incidents, for example, the atomic bomb, bombings in Japan. I've lived in Japan myself, and I've seen the city of Hiroshima. So, like, the atomic bombings at that time which took place there. So they actually very severely affected the people, and it was one of the greatest catastrophes the world has ever seen. At the same time, the atomic technology contributes towards energy generation. So, like, there are the good and bad aspects of every technology, right? So the important thing is to keep the flow of the technology in check and to make sure that they're in the right hands. They're not in irresponsible hands who actually misuse the technology. So AI is no different. Like a gun can be carried by a security guard, and it would indicate to you that this place is safer. That maybe the guard has some gun like that for your protection, but it could be carried by some criminal, and at the same gun will carry a different message to you. So this is why for AI, it's no different. We have to use AI for the good potential usage for our country. And this is necessary for the socio-economic development. Even, for example, if today we want that because of the dangers in artificial intelligence, we stop using AI. Let's say we say that. If we do that, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world will stop developing AI. They will still develop it. And the technology, once it's available at their end, will evolve technologies which will actually be, which can be misused against people of our region as well. So actually, we don't have a choice. The only choice we have is that this technology is there in the world. We have to learn it, we have to develop it, and we have to keep it secure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yasar Ayaz and Dr. Manam for responding to these questions. I believe it was an excellent talk followed by an excellent questions and responses. But due to shortage of time and especially during Ramadan, we once again thank all the participants and the speaker for joining us for this excellent talk. Now we'll move towards the last segment of this event, and that is, I will now invite Ambassador Khalid Mahmood, Chairman Board of Governors, for his concluding thoughts and vote of thanks. Mr. Khalid Mahmood is a former ambassador of Pakistan to Iran, Iraq, China, Saudi Arabia, and Mongolia. He has served as First Secretary and later as Deputy Permanent Representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, New York. He has worked as Director General UN, Additional Secretary, United Nations, Asia Pacific and Africa, and former Permanent Representative of Pakistan to the Organization of Islamic Conference and the Economic Cooperation Organization. Sir, you have the floor, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. True to its tradition, ACDC has organized yet another webinar on a very important subject, artificial intelligence for socio-economic development in Pakistan. And we are lucky to have experts like Dr. Yasar Ayaz and Dr. Munam Ali Shah enriching the exchange on this important subject at the Institute of Strategic Studies this morning. See, as I see it, that technology is constantly evolving from electric to electronic, electronic to computer. And now there are new host of emerging technologies, robotics, quantum computing, machine learning, and so on. And artificial intelligence is one of them, which in fact cuts across various new technologies. As Lenin has said, that there are decades when nothing happens and weeks when decades happen. So now things are happening in this realm of emerging technologies. As to the artificial intelligence, its importance has been duly underlined by the speakers. And President Putin of Russia has said that whoever leads in artificial intelligence will rule the world. So such is the importance of this artificial intelligence. Now, like as was rightly pointed out, like any other technology, it is dual use, it has positive and negative impacts, a double-edged sword. So there is always sometimes resistance even to adoption of these technologies. And this is what we are witnessing, that people are on the one hand thrilled to have such new technologies, but on the other hand, they are apprehensive also that as to their negative impact. But overall, I think the impact of artificial intelligence is very positive, as we have seen particularly during this COVID experience, how that in service delivery, in addressing the health aspects, artificial intelligence was very helpful. In fact, artificial intelligence uses have been found beneficial in the field of education, energy, and financial sector. So that's why we can say that a greater use of artificial intelligence and such technologies will help accelerate the progress towards reaching the goals of sustainable development goals, the 17 development goals identified by the United Nations. So in the achievement of those goals, this technology will be, the role of this technology will be very critical. So what are the downside of these technologies? One is that so far the progress in this is a bit slow as compared to other technologies, and this is bound to be that in the beginning it is a tentative advancement, but with the passage of time, these technologies grow at a faster pace. But it is being felt that it may lead to accentuate the digital divide in the world, because not all countries are equally equipped. So some developed countries like United States and even China, Japan, South Korea, they might take such a lead that many countries in the third world, particularly, they may be left behind. So one has to guard against such development. And even within the countries, there are bound to be some negative impact on the labor market, that the labor as we know today, it may not be equipped enough to take benefit of these new technologies. And also already a reference has been made to the danger of weaponization of artificial technology, and also its likely impact on the protection of human rights. That is also an aspect which one has to be careful about. And actually, in that respect, cybersecurity is very important. So I think Pakistan is happily not left behind, as Dr. Yasar Ayaz has told us, that we are at it. And of course, it requires greater resources, greater focus, and greater capability, capacity building. But hopefully, we will not miss the bus, as they say. We have to, also to ensure that the human touch, that is not completely ignored, because how much these technologies prosper, but there are certain areas where you need the human element. So the humans should be kept in loop. So with these words, I would say that this webinar has been very useful in sensitizing the public opinion about the importance of the artificial technology and what it holds for the future of developments in the field of socio-economic, health, education, energy. So I think artificial intelligence enable us to have better decision making. That is important. It's not perfect, but better decision making, and that will help us and the world at large in making a rapid progress toward the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals set for 2030. So I again thank all the participants, particularly the Dr. Yasar Ayaz and Dr. Munam Alisha for taking time out of their busy schedules and enriching us with their knowledge on this important field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Khalid Mahmood. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we come to an end of this fruitful and interesting talk today. And I believe we are going to organize more talks on this subject in coming future, and I'd like to engage Dr. Yasar Ayaz and Dr. Munam Shah for our further deliberations on this subject. With this, we come to an end, and report and video link is available on our website of this talk. And our website is www.issi.org.pk. With this, I once again thank you all the speakers and participants for their time today for this talk. Thank you, Dr. Yasar Ayaz, and thank you, Dr. Munam Alisha. Thank you, Mr. Azhar Ahmed Chaudhary Saab, and thank you, Mr. Khalid Mahmood.
Thank you, Janab.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.